Hey guys, this is Shaft, and today I'm bringing to you something pretty awesome and special. The Planet Casting Crew's gone through, and we noticed that we were doing a lot of Zerg games, specifically a lot of ZVP. So this time we're bringing to you a little special. We do have a couple of Zerg games, but we're focusing tonight a little bit on Protoss versus Terran, Protoss versus Protoss, that sort of thing. Casting with me tonight is actually going to be my good friend Matt. Matt, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty well, man. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. And actually, there's something pretty special. Some of you who've tuned into past productions might be familiar with White Wing from Team StarCraft2Strategy.com. Well, guess what? He's actually joining us tonight as a little professional commentator to give us some guidance on these really epic, high-quality professional replays and help us really get into the mind of the pro in esports. How are you doing, Joel?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. No doubt, no doubt. Well, coming up, we've got 5 games, so make sure you check out all 5, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. If you watch them out of order, that's perfectly fine, but make sure you watch them all. Either way, I don't see any reason to throw any more filler out there. I don't have anything else to announce, so let's go ahead and hop into this game. We're going to begin in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so here on the bottom left-hand side of my favorite map, Daybreak, it is the Red Terran playing for Team MVP. It's Dream. And here on the top right-hand corner of that very same map, we have the blue Protoss player, LGIMFirst. He wasn't actually the first player, that's just his name. Sorry guys, don't kill the messenger. Alright, so Matt, what are your thoughts on Protoss versus Terran? What kind of motifs are we going to be expecting here?
Well, definitely for Protoss versus Terran matchup, a lot of Protoss players do tend to go for that robo with the gateways to be able to push through that Terran wall as well as that Terran bio ball. The Colossus being a very good unit against the Marines and the Marauders since they can sit in the back protected by the sentries, as well as grabbing the Templar archives for the storms.
What do you think of that particular strategy there, White Wing?
Well, generally you see the gateway and the robo because it's just a safe opening against almost anything Terran can throw at the Protoss. You get the robo for the observer so that you can react to almost anything. If it's a cloak banshee after expand, for example, you need the observers to not die. You want to have good map vision with the observers, so having a lot of observers moving around the map constantly and watching the correct paths is extremely important to not dying a horrible, agonizing death.
Now, what kind of horrible, agonizing deaths can Terran throw at the Protoss? I know drops tend to be particularly powerful in this matchup.
They certainly are. Generally, you tend to see bio play out of Terran because it has the mobility factor and it definitely has the possibility to just kill Protoss if he engages wrongly. This matchup is mostly about assuming both players are approximately equal skilled and both playing well and neither one's cheesing the other. It's mostly about positioning and timing.
Okay, understood. Now, what timings are you referring to there?
The really big one that usually makes or breaks this matchup is the big 10-minute timing that comes out of Terran, where he hits the 2 medevac plus 1 weapon stim timing.
And we do have a command center coming out of that Terran, but continue what you were saying, please.
Yeah, they do. This is what the build starts to look like at the first. They do a 1-rax expand, usually into 3 racks. Often Thorazane popularized to 2 racks follow up, which is shown up quite frequently. And basically what happens is they just macro up a bit, they get their units, they get their tech, they get their upgrades going on. Oftentimes they add on a 3rd command center and skip that and delay that timing by a couple minutes. But then they hit a really powerful potent timing and try to do some serious damage when they first get medevacs and when Protoss does not have a lot of splash yet.
Understood, understood. Now, here are the 3 barracks as well as a nexus out of IM1st. So, absolutely matching what you're saying here. What is the Protoss follow-up to this?
Generally speaking, the Protoss is going to throw down that robo, throw down 2 more gateways, and then he can do a number of things, usually involving either 1 or 2 forges. More frequently, recently, we've been seeing 1 forges. A single forge bought in it by itself, I should say. Because getting 2 forges means you have to pick a single tech path and stay on it for a little while, because you just can't afford the amount of gas you need in order to do both tech paths and the double forge, I should say.
Understood. And here's that robo that Matt had mentioned. Now, Matt, what do you think about this pylon here? That's a little bit of an odd place there for a pylon, is it not?
Yeah, he does have that. Are you talking about the proxy pylon or the pylon in the main base?
The actual proxy pylon. It just seems a weird place for a proxy.
It's out there in the corner. Now, the problem we can see here is if he tries to warp in units from that, he does have to walk all the way across through that maze just to get to the front door. And if he's trying to keep a continued timing push-up with gateway play, he'll be forced to do a tug of war, which the Terran player can easily hold off via siege tech as well as Marines, Marauders, or any form of, turtle. Terran are great at this, and they are going to pick that pylon up, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that pylon right there was placed specifically to spot for this little invisible run-by, which Keen, another MVP player, in fact, was the first player to start popularizing, where he'd just take a small group of his initial Marines, sneak them outside around the map, and then try to surprise Protoss being greedy.
And it looks like Dream is actually anticipating some kind of harassment of a similar nature from the Protoss with a single Marine out by the third, or the potential third.
In large part, it's also there because he wants to try to deny a probe scout so that Protoss doesn't see whether he has the third or not.
Oh, okay, understood, and that would reveal his stem timing approaching.
Yeah, the observer's about to come in, so he's going to see it anyway.
Okay, understood.
Does look like we are going to see a bio ball here. We do have the barracks with that starport, and the Protoss player, he is going to drop that robo bay. He wants to get that Colossus as fast as possible.
Absolutely, and like we mentioned earlier, it looks like Colossi are going to be a deciding factor. At what point are Vikings going to be viable for Dream?
It's not really so much a question of viability, so much as a question is when does he need them, which is going to be entirely dependent on how many Colossi are being produced, how fast they're being produced. Is he chrono boosting them constantly? Is he just making one at a time slowly? Does he have breaks in between? It's really just he wants to have a certain Viking count to deal with a certain number of Colossi. Also important to note is that first observer got sniped in the main base with a scan and didn't see anything at all.
And we do have the rocks being knocked down here by MVPDream, who is actually one of my favorite Terran players from MVP, only behind, Keen, actually. You mentioned him earlier. So this is actually a pretty awesome game for me watching. I'm not very familiar with Protoss versus Terran, but Matt, what race do you play? It's Protoss, isn't it?
Actually, yes, I do ladder Protoss in my 1v1s. Really only a gold player level of experience, though, for the Protoss.
Absolutely, but I bet you've still got a little bit more familiarity with this matchup.
Well, for me personally, the problems I've encountered with Protoss versus Terran...
it looks like there's actually going to be a little bit of a timing here. Nice force fields by First, holding off most of the Marine Marauder here. Some of those sentries getting targeted down. Ooh, go ahead, killing that one off. Now the Colossi moving up a little bit too close, taking a lot of hits. It's losing most of its shield, but the Terran is going to be forced to pick up and run home.
And look at where he placed that factory. He's going to have that scout factory there, and if I'm not mistaken, they can't actually attack that.
Yeah, it looks
with the Colossus vision, he most certainly can attack it, but he's got to move his whole army right up next to it.
Yeah, Colossus are counting as air units in this case.
And as Joel pointed out just a little before, the Viking build will be dependent on how many Colossus we saw built there. He's going to go ahead and pick up two.
Yeah, he first has decided in this game to go with a one forge build into Colossus, and then transitioning into Charge Lot and probably going to add on Templar. He just built the one Colossus as a bridge unit, which is getting very popular, and I myself have practiced quite a bit.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to point out this proxy pylon over here at the fourth base of Dream. IM1st can definitely do a little bit of harassment there to the third, and he is scouting that now. This army of the Protoss actually looks kind of small. Is it wise for him to be moving out like this?
It is not really wise for him to be moving out, but with the Stalkers positioned where they are, there's not really all that much that Dream can do about it except drop. And with that pylon position, he can probably get back in time. This isn't Heart of the Swarm. They don't quite have the speed boost yet. But First really defended that first push, the 10-minute timing, very, very well with some fantastic force fields. So even though his army looks small, because he killed so many units, he's not really too scared of moving out a little bit.
Looks like we might have a drop right here. These dropships just loaded up, but the Stalkers are right there waiting for him.
Absolutely, yeah. Really nice positioning and map awareness here from First.
Yep. And there goes the Templar Archives, along with the second Forge. This is very standard in this matchup, especially with the third going down. He has to be a bit careful because if first Dream decides to pressure properly down at the third while also pressuring the natural or the main, Protoss can get stretched a bit thin with only the one Colossus for a little while.
I'm a little bit scared for Dream. He's actually taking 2 bases at once here. I thought only the Zerg could do this.
Well, it really depends. Protoss is playing a little bit greedy here himself, so Dream's just out greeding him.
Understood. Yeah, if the Protoss is playing greedy, I guess it's going to be a little easier to get away with this.
Yeah, I mean, taking that 4th base right out there, if he turns that into a planetary, there's not really much that can... It really kills the pushing power of Protoss for a little while. Looks like we're going to have 2 ships passing in the night here.
Alright, and the Protoss is actually a little bit out of position, losing some shields on this Archon, but ultimately the Terran's going to run away to safety before the rest of the army shows up.
And that drop is going to land inside of that main base.
Ouch.
He is going to warp in, though, and catch that right away.
Okay, now let's see. Looks like that medevac is already pretty damaged, and... Oh, kiting out of the Zealots here. No charge on those.
They do actually have charge, but it's, I mean... Well, they used it immediately when they spawned, which is why it didn't look like it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And if you look at the Terran player, he's actually, he already has both of his level 1 upgrades, while the Protoss player does only have that level 1 ground upgrade, or level 2, my mistake, with the level 1 weapons on the way.
Understood. And looks like this 4th base is going to be a little bit vulnerable here, landing Vikings to deal with this Archon. And running those away now.
Yeah, he overmade the Vikings a bit.
Yeah, they're not going to do too much against Archons.
As you pointed out earlier, Malcolm, he does punish that 4th base. You'd question whether or not he would be able to do that since he was not the Zerg, and he did stop most of the production on that, and it is, on fire, pushed away, not able to produce anything.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to save it with some SCVs to his credit, but, yeah, he'll be able to get some mules off it.
We do have the Ghost coming out. Ghost being a very good reaction to the High Templar. Their EMP can destroy the High Templar energy, and they can snipe down the Colossus as well. Not
to mention the Archon's shields also being vulnerable to EMP.
Yeah. Ghosts are basically the perfect answer to this composition that we're seeing at the moment. But IMFirst is anticipating that answer and is actually transitioning back into Colossus once more, adding on range, adding on Colossi. He just finished the +3 armor, adding on weapons once more.
Again, that 4th base is just pushed right out of there.
Wow. I think Dream really just needs to land this turn into an orbital and get the mule benefit. He can take this 4th a little later.
Yeah, at this point he just needs to stabilize. He's being pushed around a bit. He's behind in supply. He can't really take a straight up fight, especially with Storm. Like unless he hits some very careful EMPs, he's going to be trounced.
And if you've noticed, this is actually Dream has opted to defend this 4th base, allowing First to take that 4th of his own down there, really uncontested.
Absolutely. Now we do have 4 Zealots being warped in up at this proxy, and they are going to go ahead and target down some SCVs at this command center, but the army's already in position. Oh, so he's going to go around to the 3rd instead, and attacking with his main army at the same time. He's going to try to provide a little bit of distraction here. I doubt he's going to commit to this attack. However, if he can catch the army out of position, nope, he's just going back home. But those 4 Zealots are doing a lot of damage to the SCVs. We're taking a look at the worker skilled right now. 23 worker skilled right now for our Protoss. Wow, Dream is taking a beating.
He's managed to stabilize fairly well, though, despite his supply deficit. He got the planetary up. He held off the attack. He's got his 4 bases. And he's holding on. He's doing a pretty excellent job. That micro in that last battle was fantastic.
How big of a deal is it that he's currently 15 harvesters behind his opponent? We do have mules playing a role here.
Well, hold on, we've got a battle going on.
Absolutely.
That's just going to be pushed off by that Marauder front line right there.
Yeah, here at 1906, we are having the Protoss run right on home.
And a Dark Shrine coming out here. The saying goes, when behind, build a shrine.
Well, he's not entirely behind right now, I should say, but it's still a fantastic harassment tool.
Absolutely.
Again, how do you feel about the Dark Shrine coming out, Joel?
It's always very smart, especially when you feel like you have an advantage. The Dark Shrine is an excellent way to punish your opponent, because your opponent basically has to make a choice. Battle going on here.
Yeah, a little bit of harassment. This is really coming down to positioning, like you mentioned earlier. Neither player wanting to engage at a bad angle here. Now, it looks like Dream was going to go ahead and try and get that watchtower, leaving a Marine there. A little sacrifice to the Protoss gods, I suppose.
Another thing to comment on the Dark Templars, in a Protoss versus Terran matchup, he would have to use the energy from his command centers to scan them. If he runs out of energy, again, the DT harass could just keep up, and he wouldn't be able to detect those units without missile turrets.
That's exactly the main reason you do it. He's not going to build the missile turrets because he feels like he's behind, and he wants these mules.
Charge going ahead, running into those Marauders, but again, coming down to position. He didn't have the Colossi there, so he went ahead, retreated back. Now he has the Colossi in position, so it looks like, holding on to the watchtower. He's going to try and get a concave. Dream's got a pretty clustered army right here, while both the Storms and the Colossi are doing massive amounts of damage. The Ghosts are trying to target down single Archons, but they're getting low on health and energy themselves. The Protoss is being chased back, but the Colossi are still alive. The wave of Zealots is charging in here, and he has melted most of the Protoss, or the Terran army. The SCVs have been pulled to kill that planetary, and the Colossi are still out.
And a lot of what happened there, that micro from the Colossi coming out on that Terran army, the Archons tanking down the front, and the Ghosts actually being picked off and pushed back before the fight really got to that middle point. He was able to push that base down.
Absolutely. Now we do see Dream pumping out quite a few Vikings. This is a direct response to the Colossi. Now the question is, will First go ahead and preempt the Vikings?
I'm sorry, go on.
I was about to say, at this point, he basically has a few choices. He can add on a lot of anti-air to deal with the Vikings. He can attempt to push in for a kill right now and just basically force him so defensive that he doesn't have time to build more Vikings, which is what it seems like he's about to do. But alternatively, he continues to make more blocks.
Wow, he is actually getting gravitic boosters right now, guys.
And the Storms again cleaning up G. Dream will just, GGS that.
Absolutely.
Let's rewind and watch that final fight.
Okay, what time would you like to pause it at there?
Let's go ahead and jump back to about. Let me go ahead and load it up.
No problem.
Actually, at 22 minutes, we do have that Dark Templar harass come out. He does discover the DTs.
Okay.
So we do have the push out, and it should be at. Let's go to 22:55.
Okay, let me fast forward there real quick. I've already gone past that. Okay, guys, 22:55.
That is correct.
All right.
So we'll go in 3.
Hold on. There we go.
All right.
Your
So
count.
let's go ahead and 3, 2, 1, hit play. So we have the Archon and the Zealots in the front here. That bunker will fall down, and again, he's going to clean up that base. And look at how the Archons and Zealots are positioned here. While he has to micro the Colossus back, they are going to just step back their Thermal Lance, and again, the Storms are going to come out. So what he did there was he brought those Colossus outrange the Bio Army away from those Vikings.
Yeah, that was a really
Use
good
that
position.
tank. And again, the Archon tank with the Zealot tank was able to keep those alive, and then the Storm really just sealed the deal. And if you look here, there's really nothing else Dream could have done after that point in the game. That Dark Templar was actually at that second base attacking it.
Well, he's also 140 supply behind. I wonder if that played a role in his decision.
Probably. A big part of the reason why he was so far behind at that point, if you go back to that prior engagement of the planetary and look carefully, a lot of his ghosts actually, while cloaked, got killed by Colossus Splash hitting his other units. Ideally, you want to pull the ghosts while cloaked away so that they don't get attacked.
Okay, so is that around 20? I just want to get the timing right.
Yeah, it's a little bit after the 20-minute mark. It's let me find the exact time here.
Okay. I'm looking for it as well.
It's about 21. Yeah, it's about 21 minutes.
Okay. Would you like to watch that again?
Sure.
Alright, let's do it at 21 or 21 even. Times 1 speed whenever you folks are ready.
Just one moment. And what actually had just happened before this push is they had a little bit of engagement, and he first came out on top of that trade, which forced Dream to fall back. So whenever you're ready, Malcolm, give us the count.
3, 2, 1, goesies. Alright, so this was your idea here, White Wing, so feel free to take over.
Alright, so basically what happens here is Dream up to this point has been trying to get his endgame composition going. First recognized that and was batting on a lot of Colossus to deal with the Mass Ghost Medivac combination.
Mm-hmm.
Then this fight starts. He hits an excellent storm right on top of everything. He does not have an observer right now, so he actually can't attack these ghosts directly. But he does have some splash damage that he's able to use. Attacks, as you can see there, the Marines and the Marauders, and actually picks a lot of the cloaked ghosts off with just splash damage.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually got the ghosts in the same hotkey as his Marines, and he was trying to do a little bit of fancy kiting with the Marines without thinking about those ghosts. A little bit of an error there, so yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. Wow.
One thing Terran can do in this matchup when they start to get behind a little bit is turtle very carefully with a lot of ghosts, add on a lot of medevacs. And that army, because ghosts have so much health and with good upgrades, and with medevacs healing them, is extremely difficult to actually kill as Protoss. The only response is to add on a lot of Colossus, which first correctly identified and went up to 5 Colossus. That was very smart of him to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so as well, forced Dream to add on more Vikings instead of more medevacs, and really weakened the power of his standing army.
Gotcha, yeah. I definitely think that... how many resources would you say were actually lost in that battle?
It's really hard to judge, per se, necessarily how many were lost by each player.
I'm actually gonna watch that battle one more time, because I actually don't think I turned it on for the viewers. I think I still have the splash screen up there. So I'm gonna turn on the Units Lost tab as well, just to get an idea of how many ghosts he lost here. Right now we're looking at 71, 74 resources lost for the Terran, and we'll just watch exactly what's lost here. Yeah, already lost about 2,000 resources, and then most of these ghosts are getting clumped up here. He's got a single Marine clumped in with these ghosts, and that is, oh yeah, you can see that one hotkey coming to haunt him here. And yeah, he's lost 5,000 resources, 6,000 resources in this one battle. Alright, well this kind of wraps up this game. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Any themes you noticed in this game? Anything either player maybe could have done better?
I just want to point out that most of this game was LGIMFirst making some excellent follow-up decisions after getting some fantastic force fields off that initial timing push.
So it's not because Protoss OP?
No. Basically what happened there is Dream went for his timing, went up into a narrow ramp choke, first was ready for it, had some fantastic force fields, picked it off, losing basically no units at all. And from that point on, Dream had very little ability to put on any pressure, and Protoss basically just took advantage of that and played out the rest of the game very well.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for that recap. Guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Clan Eat Casting crew bringing to you another awesome replay. Please move on to part 2. See you there.